Welcome to everyone at GetSetSQL. I am Amitesh. In this tutorial, we will learn about stored procedure. So first of all, we will see what is a stored procedure, then how to create it, how to execute it in different ways, how to modify an existing stored procedure, then later we will see how to view the definition of a stored procedure. We will also see some important system procedures, then finally we will see how to drop it. We will see everything in detail with practical examples. So stay tuned and let's start. So first of all, we will understand what is stored procedure. Stored procedure is a batch of SQL statement, which is a T-SQL block stored in a database as a named block. It means a set of SQL statement can be named and stored into a database, and later we can call it when we want to execute that batch of statements. So it means a stored procedural code is to write once and reuse it over and over again by simply calling the stored procedure name. Now see what is the syntax of a stored procedure. So syntax start with create procedure, then procedure name. Let's say here in example I name it sp my procedure. Then list of parameter within a bracket. There could be two types of parameter. One is simple parameter which receives input. So for this we give parameter name and then data types. Another parameter is output type of parameter, which is used to produce the output of the procedure. So for this we write parameter, then data types, that what type of value this procedure want to return, and then a keyword output. After that bracket close, then within begin and end we write set of SQL statements to perform certain tasks. We can have hundreds of lines of statements within this body to implement any logic. Once the procedure is created, then we can execute it using different ways. So three different ways using which we can call a procedure. First is using a keyword execute and then my procedure name. Let's say my procedure is sp my procedure, so I will write execute then sp my procedure. And if this procedure has some parameter, then I will mention the value of that parameter further. Another way is we can also write only exec in place of execute and then procedure name. Otherwise, we can also execute the procedure by simply calling its name. Now let's move to the SQL Server Management Studio where we will see the example of creating a procedure and then execute it. So I'm into my SampleDB database and here I have a table. Select asterisk from employee. You can see this table has 100 rows and column ID, first name, last name, birth date, the marital status of employee where M stand for married and S stand for single, income and their education. Now we will create a sample stored procedure to call this employee table. I will separate this block using Go and I will write my create procedure statement, create procedure and then my procedure name sp get employee, then as begin and end. So this is the body of my stored procedure. Here I will write select statement for selecting the records from employee table. Now this is a simple procedure named sp get employees where I'm executing a select statement on employee table. So I will create this. My procedure has created. Now I will execute it. So the command is execute and then procedure name. So when I execute it, it returns me the employee record. So once I have created my stored procedure in SampleDB database, I can see this in my programmability folder. Then I will go to programmability and stored procedure. Currently there is nothing. So I will refresh and now you can see sp get employee procedure is created here. So this procedure has no parameter value. Okay, we can simply call it and it will execute the select statement. Now I will create a new procedure with one parameter. Copy this procedure definition and I will create a new one here. This time let's say I'll name it underscore one. So sp get employee underscore one, and this procedure will take a parameter called married of data type varchar, size let's say 5. Okay, so this is my parameter for this store procedure of data type varchar, and this parameter can take any string value. That string value further I can use in the body of my procedure. So let's say while executing the store procedure and user passes a value to this parameter I will use here in the where clause of this query, where marital status should be equals to my parameter married. Okay, so this parameter I am using here to retrieve the records from the employee table. So I will execute this statement and my new procedure has created. Now if I execute this time if I execute this without any parameter, then it will give me an error. And what the error says, procedure or function sp get employee underscore one expect parameter and then parameter name. It means to execute this procedure we must have to provide a value. So let's say I provide a value m. This m will be taken here in the parameter and will pass it to this SQL statement. So this query will become select asterisk from employee where marital status should be the value of merit, which is m I am passing. So marital status should be m. Only those employee records should be produced as an output of this stored procedure. So if I execute this, you can see this time only 57 records has produced and that all records is for marital status M. So in this case, if you want to execute this stored procedure, we must have to pass a value. We can also pass a default value to a parameter. It means if we don't pass any value to this parameter, then it should take the default value and execute the procedure using this default value itself. So making a default parameter, we simply have to provide a value here. Like in this case, I have provided a default value to the merit parameter. And as a procedure has already been created, so we cannot create this again, but we can alter this. So alter is the statement using which we can modify the existing procedure. So what the modification this time we are making, we are passing a default value to this parameter merit. Let's say execute this. Now the procedure has been updated, and if I execute this procedure again without passing a value m, then let's see what it will return. You will see this time this statement is not giving any error of missing parameter and it is executing for marital status value s only, and the total record is 43. And if I pass a parameter, then it will take it and execute based on the given parameter. So this time all employee records for marital status M only. So we have just seen how to create a procedure, then how to create a procedure with parameter, and how to create a procedure with a default parameter. And we have also seen how to modify an existing procedure using alter statement. Now we can create a procedure with more than one parameter also. So let me show in this example. We have already a procedure with single parameter and default value. Now let's say I will create a new parameter called income, and the data type of this parameter is integer, and I will use this parameter in the select query where the income column value should be greater than this parameter. So now what we are doing using alter statement, we are modifying the procedure and adding a new parameter income of data type integer. This second parameter I am using to further filter out the employee table record based on income. I'll make a modification using alter statement again, and the procedure has been updated, and this time I need to provide one more parameter of integer data type. So let's say I provide 60,000. So what I'm trying to retrieve using this procedure is the all records from employee table where marital status should be M and their income should be greater than 60,000. Execute this and you can see only 19 records has been validated where all record has marital status M and income is greater than 60,000. But what if we change the position of the parameter? Would that work? Let's see. Now this time my first parameter is integer and the second parameter is varchar. But in the definition, my first parameter is varchar and the second parameter is integer. And if I run this after changing the sequence of my parameter value, it will fail. It says error converting data type varchar to integer. So what is happening here is basically this 60,000 is passing to this first parameter merit, where 60,000 can be converted into a string, but this character string m cannot be converted into integer value. So to overcome this problem, we need to execute procedure in a different way. So what is that way? We will provide the parameter name along with the parameter value this time. Here income should be equals to 60,000 and merit parameter value should be equals to m. Now I am giving a clear instruction to this procedure that the first parameter value is for income and the second parameter value m is for merit. And if I execute it again, it will work fine. So it means when we are executing the stored procedure and we are providing the parameter name along with the value, then we can put it in any sequence. Otherwise, if we are not providing the parameter name, then we have to provide the parameter value in the same sequence it has been defined in the procedure definition. Now let's see a new parameter of type output. So I will copy this statement again and paste it here. And this time I'm not altering. I want to create a new procedure and the name is sp get employee count, and first parameter will remain merit of data type varchar and the second parameter I will create count, again the data type integer, but this time I'm mentioning output. It means this is an input parameter, but this is my output parameter, which means procedure will generate an output and will return it through this parameter. And this count I will further use here to store the value, and I will remove this income filter. Now finally a definition is create procedure name sp get employee count with two parameter merit and count. So merit parameter is input parameter in which we need to pass a value, but count is an output parameter which will not receive any value at the time of executing a procedure, but it will return the output. So that is why the keyword output is mentioned here. Then in the body of stored procedure, we are counting the rows from the employee table where marital status should be as per the merit parameter, and whatever the count comes, it will go into the count parameter. So I will execute this. Procedure has created successfully. Now we need to understand one thing, that this procedure is returning a value of data type integer using this parameter. So when we are executing this procedure, we must have a container to hold this output value. That container could be a variable. So before executing this procedure, we need to declare a variable, and in this variable, I will store the return value of this procedure. So how I will do this? Let me show you here. First, declare a variable. Let's say my total count is my variable of data type integer, and I will execute my procedure sp get employee count. So the first parameter is merit and the value m, comma. Then I will write my second parameter count and equals to this variable to hold the output of the count parameter. Then output keyword. Once the variable is populated after executing the statement, then I will simply print this variable. So this is my three-liner statement in which first I am declaring a variable, then executing the stored procedure where I am passing a value to my input parameter, and the second variable I am using to hold the output of this parameter using output keyword. And once the variable is populated, then I will print that. So execute it, and you can see this time 57 is the value that has been counted by this procedure where the marital status is merit. There is also a way using which we can see the definition of my procedure. If I go back to stored procedure folder and refresh this, you will see my all procedures are listed here. I can see the definition of this procedure by right clicking and create to new query window. It will show me the definition of my SP. So anytime I can go to this folder and by right clicking simply can see the definition of my SP. There is also a system stored procedure using which we can see the definition of our SP. So that system procedure is SP underscore help text, and within single quote I provide the procedure name and then execute this. It will return me the definition of my stored procedure. There are few other system procedures which we often use to get the insight of our own stored procedure. The first one is SP underscore help. It gives us the detail of the stored procedure, its type, and then created date time. It also tells us that what are the parameters in this procedure. As we don't have any parameter for this procedure, so we don't have any detail. But if I run my another procedure using this command, it will show me the parameters as well. So married and income is two parameter in this procedure of data type integer and varchar and their parameter sequence. There is one more system procedure called sp underscore depends and then my procedure name. It gives us the detail that on what table this procedure is working. So all the dependent objects on which my stored procedure is working or using in its definition will be reflecting here. So you can see employee table with all their columns which we are using in this procedure is reflecting here. So if you want to see the dependents object details of my stored procedure, then we can use this sp underscore depends. Now finally we will see how to drop a stored procedure. That is very simple. Simply by drop command, drop procedure and then my procedure name. Whatever the procedure I want to drop, I will simply name it here. After drop procedure command, without any single quote and execute this. It will delete my existing stored procedures. So I have deleted recently this one. If I refresh, you can see that procedure has gone. The another simple method is by simply right clicking and delete. Click to OK. That will be deleted. So you can see this time I have only one here. Now let's discuss some benefit of using stored procedure. So one of the benefit is its reusability. Because a stored procedure is a named block, it means we can encapsulate all the business logic within the procedure and we can call it over and over again by simply just calling a name of the stored procedure. The complete business logic code is written once and can be reused several times. The second benefit is its performance. When we create a stored procedure and it executes first time, then it store its execution plan in a cache. So next time onwards, whenever it runs faster than the other TSQL blocks. The third one is most important, it's security. We can encapsulate our complete business logic into a stored procedure and can share it with anybody who want to execute and get the result out of it. But we may restrict that user to not to see the business logic implemented in this procedure. So anybody can execute and can get the result out of this stored procedure, but those user cannot see the implementation of the business logic. So this way it provides a security to our codes. These all are the benefits of using stored procedure. I hope you like this video. If this is so, please press the like button and subscribe my channel. And if you want to give any comment, please mention in the description box so I can see and include into my next videos. I will come soon with new interesting and learning videos. Till then, take care, stay blessed. Thank you.